Hi, guys. It's Thursday. It's January 14th. And today in math, we are going to review the things that we've kind of been working on this week as far as geometry goes. We've been talking a lot about points, line segments, lines, angles, rays, and you've had to do some work with Draw Island and some guided practice where you are labeling. Just want to make sure that you understand the difference between all of those different geometry terms. Today, I'm going to kind of introduce to you three more words that you need to be familiar with, and I'm going to kind of review the things that we've learned this week as I teach you these vocabulary words. So I'm going to I'm going to use my whiteboard and the Draw Island screen that you're seeing. Okay, so the first word that I am going to kind of explain is this word right here. Okay, this word is parallel. Okay, parallel. Parallel means that you might have two lines or two segments that never cross. Think of like railroad tracks. Railroad tracks go right next to each other, but they never cross. And if I was wanting to make two parallel line segments, they would look like this. We know line segments have points at either end. Okay, and again, if these segments were like railroad tracks, they would never cross each other. Or think of like part of a ladder, the part that you climb up. Those two wooden posts are parallel to each other. Look around your home. Try to find examples of lines or line segments that are parallel to each other. Again, they never cross. Okay. I can also do the same thing with lines, although, we would know that lines go forever in each direction. So they would have arrowheads at the end of the straight part of those instead of the points that you see. Okay. So again, parallel. Parallel lines can go at an angle. They could also go vertically. Okay. Or they could also go horizontally. They don't all have to be the same direction. Okay, notice these lines that I just created, kind of got off a little bit. They're very close together, so they can be close together as long as they never cross. Okay, so that's an example of parallel lines and line segments. I'm going to delete the screen. And the next word I'm going to talk about is this word. It's kind of a long word. Also starts with a P. Okay. And we'll see if you can say this word. After parallel, we have the word perpen. There's the word pen in the middle. Perpendicular. Perpendicular. Okay, now what in the world is that? Well, lines that are perpendicular or line segments, go back to my drawing, my line tool there. Perpendicular lines cross each other and they meet in the middle at a point. Okay, but perpendicular lines cross each other to kind of resemble a plus sign. Okay, these two lines that I'm drawing right now are perpendicular. They resemble a plus. And we've talked a little bit about angles, but we haven't really talked about what we call degrees of an angle. And again, if you think of a clock, this is another best way to explain it. If you think about these lines looking like hands on a clock. So if this is noon and this is 3 o'clock, I can even do it with my arms. Perpendicular. They're crossing. One ray or one line goes straight up. The other line goes straight horizontally, again, like a plus sign. So that is what perpendicular means. Okay, now I'm going to draw two examples of lines that we'll do line segments, since we're reviewing that as well, that cross each other. Okay, those two lines or line segments cross each other. We'll put the points on them to make them segments. But they are not perpendicular to each other, because I don't see, it doesn't look like a clock face, and it does not look like a plus sign. Okay, here, and when we start getting into angles more, the line that goes straight up and the line that goes straight out, that's what we call a 90-degree angle, and it gets a little mark that kind of looks like that. And you may not remember all of that now, but basically, again, that means the one ray goes straight up, like towards the sky, 12 o'clock. The other ray goes straight out, like 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So those are perpendicular. But again, these line segments that I drew right here, these are not perpendicular. They do not make a plus. Okay, so I'm going to put we'll put a check mark right here, because those are perpendicular lines. Now I'm going to delete the screen again. We'll go back to a clear screen. The last word I want to explain today, I kind of just had an example of that, but I deleted it because I wanted to start over. The third word I have on the board here is the word intersecting. Intersecting. Lines that are intersecting cross each other. Okay? Now, here's an example. I can draw, let's say, a line or a line segment. And if I have another line or line segment that crosses it in some way, we say that they intersect each other. They are intersecting lines. Okay? Think about when you are driving along a road and you get to another road that crosses it. We call that an intersection, because one road crosses another road. And if you think about these two lines or segments being like roads, you can see that they are definitely intersecting. Okay, but are they perpendicular? No, they're not, because they don't cross and make a plus or that 90-degree angle. These two lines or segments, pretend like they have endpoints on the ends, those two lines are intersecting. They are also perpendicular. They meet both of those requirements. Okay, so just intersecting and perpendicular don't exactly mean the same thing. They resemble each other, but they don't have the exact same meaning. So again, these lines are perpendicular and they intersect. These lines intersect each other, but they're not perpendicular. Okay, now let me do something else. One more example, because this is where it gets a little bit tricky. What if I have a line, and we'll put the arrowheads on it here. That looks like this. Okay, and I have another line out here. Again, remember, lines go forever in each direction. So I'm going to look at those two lines. Now, do those lines intersect? What do you think? Yes or no? Pause this video and think about that, and then we'll answer that question in just a second. If you said yes, they are intersecting, you're right. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because since I know that lines travel forever in two directions, if this line, just because it's not crossing it right now, but it's showing that it goes on forever. So if this line extended and we just drew it out, then definitely you can tell that they would intersect each other. So when I drew them originally, they didn't look like they were intersecting, but remember, lines go forever in both directions. So sometimes you have to kind of think about the path that it would travel if it was showing you that. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay. Are these two lines perpendicular? No, they're not. They're just intersecting. So that's a little bit more about those three words that I wrote on my board. Parallel, like railroad tracks. Perpendicular, they cross to make like a plus. And intersecting, two lines that cross or touch each other in some way. Okay, so we also reviewed lines a little bit, line segments and points. So use this video to help you with today's assignments or any other assignments that you've had this week that you might need to go back and revisit. So play this video as many times as you need. Have a great rest of your day.